This is At Face Value.
And I'm Lucas.
We're so fired up, especially after just an absolutely insane weekend of college football. Lucas obviously rocking his LSU gear today after an incredible overtime win, but we'll get into all that. But we just want to thank you again for joining us for another week. Like I said, this is episode 15. We're rolling along. Downloads are staying consistent. They're actually starting to move up a little bit, so we appreciate that. Just continue to like, continue to share. Follow all of our social media. We're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram. Just like and follow and share and all that good stuff. So we've got another good episode for you this week. And kind of what I wanted to start off, I mentioned it, I think at the end of the podcast last week. I went and watched the United States and Panama in Q2 Stadium. I know we just talked about it, but man, that stadium is so nice, dude. Like,
Yeah, it's built well, and there's not a bad seat in the place, which is awesome. So you don't have to spend tons of money to watch a good game and have a good view of it. The one thing I will say, every time I went in there, the food's kind of pricey.
yeah, it is.
Like it's Austin prices for sure. Like they didn't hold back on that, but everything else is great, man. It's awesome. I've seen a U.S. men's national team game there. I've seen a MLS. I saw Austin FC play, and it was electric. It was awesome.
Yeah, man. Like, and
Location's awesome too.
yeah, well, that's the nice part. Yeah, it's in a good part of Austin where you're not gonna be just stuck in traffic all day. Like, it's not gonna take you forever to get out. Like, it's just like a really good location. And so,
And dude, like where we lived in Leander, we had a train. You literally hop on the train; it drops you off right in front of the stadium.
oh, for real?
You just walk right in.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
sweet,
that was
dude.
such a cool feature of it, man. That was it. Like you literally could drink on the train. Just bring your beers, hop on the train, drink all the way over there, and then hop out, and you're right there.
Yeah, it's probably a lot better than those New York subways too. So.
Oh, way cleaner, way cleaner.
Yeah, but it makes me think like because like I see all those stadiums because like soccer stadiums they're not like football stadiums where they hold 100,000 people. Like typically
No.
they hold between 20 and 30,000.
Yeah.
But the way that they structure them, like the only stadium I really know that does it like close to that football wise is Seattle. Like Seattle, they have it where they have kind of like that curved, that like traps the noise.
Yeah.
And so it helps it keep it in. And so I don't know why more stadiums don't do that. Just because, like I said, I mean, it makes the stadium, even though there's only 20,000 people there watching, it sounds so much louder because it just traps the noise in there. But
Yeah.
But I also know a lot of those stadiums, like they're built for making money. They're not built for the
Exactly.
excitement and everything. So,
Exactly.
but it does make me want to like go to like watch like an English Premier League game,
Dude, that's a bucket list
like
of mine.
being
Big
over there
time.
and like, because again, like it's just one of the, like, man, especially like the fans are like right there on the field. Like I was talking about my sister and my brother-in-law. We went to the game with them last night, and I was like, I was like, it's a different mindset of where you want to sit at games too. Because like in football, like you want to sit on the 50-yard line,
50.
you want to see everything. Like in soccer, you want to sit behind the goal,
Dude, yeah.
like because that's where like all the excitement happens. And so like we sat like in the middle because like that's just naturally what I was thinking when we bought the tickets. But in the future, man, like I know they told me like they have season tickets to Austin FC, and they said that they have front row tickets right behind one of the goals.
That's great.
That they get to watch, and they said it's just so cool, like just being right there, the action and everything. So
And on the I guess if you're just walking in from the street or from where the train drops off, the right side goal, it's like a supporters section. So
Yep.
that's where it gets loud, and I feel like they copied that from Borussia Dortmund. They have the yellow wall where it's just these supporters just going way up high,
Yeah.
just freaking outrageous. Like they have the freaking flares going off and like the smoke bombs, and dude, it is rowdy. It's supposed to be an unbelievable like atmosphere to go to that. But the Premier League, it depends on where you go to, right? So the Emirates,
sure.
where Arsenal play, it's like a 60,000 seat stadium, and there's obviously areas that are a lot more corporate and not as close up to the action, but I mean, just to go to one of those would be so sick.
Oh yeah,
Just
dude.
the whole pregame experience, because I mean, I'm sure y'all did that too. When before the game, went out, had some beers at the tavern or at some of the bars, and same thing. And at those games, you just go to a pub, slam some pints and then freaking go in.
and then all just go together.
But the one thing about the European games is they don't allow alcohol in your seats. Like you have
Really?
to drink the alcohol and eat in the concourse.
Interesting.
Like they will not let it because those fans will start chunking cups and beers and stuff at everybody, you know.
Makes sense.
And so that's a big difference between that and American sports where like I mean, they have freaking people coming up and down with a freaking
But I feel like too,
beers
like I
and-
feel like those like a lot of those just your soccer fans in general are so much more passionate.
Oh yeah.
And so like they're gonna be fine with that because like I want to be in my seat and I want to watch.
Yeah.
Whereas like a lot of the fans like in America, it's like, well, I don't want to go sit and eat somewhere else and then come back down.
Yeah.
So like if they're gonna go eat, like they're gonna stay up in the concourse and like not really want to sit in their seats. And so I can see kind of a difference with that too.
For sure. And like if you're like say Liverpool comes and plays Arsenal, like they have an away section. The Liverpool fans cannot go into like the Arsenal section.
Really?
Legitimately, like they literally like only allot so many tickets, and it's in one section of the stadium,
That is crazy.
and they like it's completely split. And there's like security guards all down the line that separates the two. It's like, dude, they get after it, man.
Better not cross this line.
Yeah, they're literally just guards that just stand there.
That's wild, man. But yeah, but it was a lot of fun, and the debut of Mauricio Pochettino.
Yep.
Man, the stadium went crazy. Like whenever they announced his name,
I bet.
Like, they went crazy when they announced Pulisic, and then obviously Pochettino. Like people
Yeah.
were fired up, man.
Dude, that's a great get.
Yeah.
That I was very, very happy whenever I heard that name. And again, just some of the things that are coming out of camp, right? Like with the players, they're saying they haven't trained this hard ever for the
Yeah.
national team. Who knows what old Greg was doing? Just freaking Manny Petty days for the
Little
players.
kumbaya
Yeah.
in the corner.
Like what's going on with that? But that's good. I mean, that's what we need. We need to be well drilled, and I mean, tactically. I mean, he has the pedigree of
Oh, for
coaching in big time clubs in Europe. So
Well,
I'm
and
happy.
And you already saw a difference, like the way that the offense flowed, like in the way that they just pushed into the offensive third, like it was just a difference, man. Like with Berhalter, it just seemed like there was just so much just sitting back
So
and
stagnant.
just like hoping you can get something going. And like
Yeah.
here, it was like let's push the tempo and
Yeah, they had
and try to get
purpose.
something going. Exactly.
Yeah, they were playing with
So,
purpose, and that was with a bunch of MLS guys too. That's not like
Yeah.
that's not our main squad. I think. Would you say Pulisic was really the only? And I guess Timothy Weah scored the first.
No, it was Musa.
Oh.
Yeah. So Musa scored
Musa
the
scored,
first
yeah.
one, and then Pepe scored later.
Which he'll make the roster too, Pepe. will.
Yeah, well, that's like he'll play.
I think he's playing for a Dutch side actually. I think he's with
Yeah.
like it's not Ajax, Feyenoord maybe. I don't remember who he's playing for.
Yeah,
but-
and like some of the guys, like they do play European League, but I don't know if they're like Premier League or like I
Yeah.
don't even know. I don't know all the teams and everything like that. So
Yeah.
I couldn't even begin to tell you. But
I honestly didn't watch a second of the game because I mean I was watching LSU.
oh yeah, you're a little preoccupied.
yeah.
But no, it was a lot of fun, and like I said, I did get live, and I mean, it just like the big thing right now is just believe until like, and then obviously you have the Outlaws.
Oh yeah.
Up there on the wall, dude. Like just the whole time, like dude, like they must have some serious forearm strength over there. Like those dudes that play the drums,
Just
like,
all game.
dude, 90 minutes, they did not stop.
That's
Like
crazy.
the entire game, I was like,
Surely they switch out.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, like they have to, because like otherwise, like man, like just to be able to keep going like that. But
Yeah.
but it was a lot of fun though. So
Yeah, it's a great experience. That's really cool.
but yeah, so yeah, but and it's just the international break right now, so that's really what's going on. It's a lot of friendlies. They don't mean anything, but it's still good to see.
I freaking hate them.
Yeah, well, I know especially after like Saka going down.
Well, it ended up just being more precautionary, which is great.
Yeah,
and he's
but-
supposedly going to be fit for the game this weekend against
Well,
Bournemouth.
I saw he
but-
didn't play today, so I was wondering, but
Yeah, that was precautionary.
Yeah.
But thank God, because again, I mean, I understand you have to have games to gel and get chemistry with your national teammates, but man, like that many. The Premier League has only played 6 games, and they've already had 2 of them.
yeah, dude.
It's crazy.
Well, I
And
remember it was
the
kinda
first
like
one,
that last
Odegaard's
year,
still
too.
out.
Yeah, dude. Well, I saw like some kind of news too, like it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Like
Yeah, I mean, he's
they're
probably not
kinda
going to come
still
back.
Worried about when he's gonna be able to come back. So
I mean, luckily we played well without him, but I mean,
Yeah.
down the stretch we need him. He's the captain. He's the leader.
Oh, for
we have to
sure.
have him.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
And just in a game that doesn't matter just sucks. But it is nice for the U.S. to get together and play a little bit, especially with the new manager. I just wish there weren't so many.
Yeah, no, I agree, but it was good, and so we'll kind of see how it keeps flowing. I know the Nations League comes up, I think next summer.
Yeah.
So we'll see a lot more of our top guys playing then, and we'll kind of see. I know they have another friendly coming up against Mexico, but none of the top guys are going to be playing, so it's not really going to mean anything. So
Yeah.
it'll be good to see. The one thing, and we'll kind of wrap up soccer pretty quick, but man, I just wish the U.S. had a goalie in the ranks somewhere, man. Like
I saw something on Twitter just because I was checking Twitter a little bit. I saw, was it Ethan Horvath was the keeper, or was it
well, Turner,
was it Turner?
Last night.
Was he last night? I didn't know who started, but I saw that whoever was the keeper had like a really good double save or something.
He did, man.
Which is
He
nice.
actually did have a couple good saves, which my sister kept bringing that up because I was pretty much trashing him the entire time. And then he would go and make it like an awesome play or something.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. It also depends on kind of the system that Pochettino wants to run too, because nowadays a lot of the tactics are the keeper needs to be able to play with their feet
for sure
and keep the ball, maintain possession out of the back, and start building from the back. Yeah. And Turner does not have that. We saw that at Arsenal, like that, because that's Arsenal's MO. He was Arsenal's backup keeper, and whenever we played, and he started on cup games, and whenever he did, you could just tell he was not very confident with his feet at all. No. Great shot stopper, which theoretically, that's the number one job of a goalkeeper.
Right.
That you want that to be the case, but depends on how you want to play.
I'll say, like you said, a lot too. There's a lot more involved with what the keeper does now. So
for sure.
And I don't even know he's at Crystal Palace now. I don't even know if he's playing. So
no, he's not.
Because I know he got sent to Nottingham Forest last year and didn't play there, and then now he's not playing with Crystal Palace, which that just hurts you too because now he's not getting those reps to be able to get better.
I think he started at Nottingham Forest at the very beginning, and he lost his job. He was not. Very good.
Yeah, I knew he either lost it or he just didn't have it to begin with.
Yeah.
I know he lost a job at Arsenal pretty quick last year.
He never had it. He was always the backup.
True,
Ramsdale was the starter. And
and then they got
even Ramsdale got benched. Raya has been. He won the Golden Gloves last year, and then he's arguably been the best keeper in the league so far this year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's been great.
He's done a great job. So, so that's soccer. Take it or leave it. You can skip to minute 13 if you don't want to listen to all that. But then we'll kind of get rolling into the MLB race just real fast, and then obviously we'll talk a lot of college. But man, dude, I know we talked about it last week, but I wish the Astros were playing right now because the MLB playoffs have been electric, dude.
I haven't really watched much at all. I've literally just score watched.
I haven't watched. I've been doing a lot of that and just watching highlights. But dude, the Mets beating the Phillies. I know you were talking about you've been rooting for the Mets.
Yeah.
Dude, and then Francisco Lindor, he's one of those guys that people said he's kind of on the downhill.
It's a grand slam.
Yeah, hits that big grand slam to win Game 4. The Dodgers, they end up coming back. They win the last two, shut out the Padres the last two games, and then now they're beating the Mets 6-0 right now. And then
it's unfortunate.
The Royals, they took the Yankees down to the wire in Game 1, won Game 2, and then the Yankees won the next two. So it's just really got overpowered there. And then the Guardians, man, I thought the Tigers were actually going to take it, but then again, it took another big time grand slam in Game 5 for the Guardians to win. So it's just been big time plays, which that's the best part about playoff baseball is it just takes I still get goosebumps whenever I see that home run by Jordan in Game 6.
Just a deep
of the
center.
22, just launches it, dude. I remember I still get goosebumps thinking about it, and then anytime I see that highlight, it's just that's just crazy part about baseball is you just flip upside down just so. Fast.
Same thing with the Altuve walk off of Chapman.
Yes, dude.
Every single time, it's amazing.
But especially when I remember that interview because they talked to him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, he's I just got lucky that he threw a slider on that pitch."
Yeah,
because he was I was going full swing on a fastball, and he decides to throw a slider, and he leaves it up, and Altuve crushes it. So.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, but it's been a lot of fun, and so like I said, the Dodgers will win Game 1 tonight, and then the Yankees and Guardians they'll start tomorrow. So I think it'll be a couple of good series. I know
I'm hoping that the Guardians pitching staff, especially starters, can the Yankees in check. I mean, Judge is still striking out, which is awesome.
And dude, that's what's wild is that the Yankees were able to win that, and like Judge hit like 100 even.
Dude, I just don't think I mentioned it a while ago, but I don't think the Yankees are built for a 7-game series.
No.
They're perfect for a 3-game set, 5-game set against the Royals, who, I mean, take them or leave them. They're not world beaters by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And that came down to the wire. The Guardians are a better team than the Royals. So,
for sure.
I think, the Yankees are the odds-on favorite to win the World Series. Like if you're betting, I think they're like plus 100. But I don't know if they're built for 7. Like their pitching staff is not built for 7.
Well, I wasn't sure if the Dodgers were either, so I'm kind of interested to see. But I also don't know how the Mets are going to be built. Like I thought the Mets would actually have the advantage tonight because they had that break and they could kind of reset their rotation.
Yeah.
But now, like, going down game 1 like that, which, I mean, you play 7 for a reason. So
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean,
that shows who the better team is.
Yeah.
Like the seven games is the perfect amount to determine, especially in baseball where anything can happen.
For sure. So, but I think it's gonna be a couple good series. I know, obviously, worst case scenario it ends up being the Yankees and Dodgers, which would just
I don't know what I'd do.
make me vomit, dude. Like I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know who I would rather lose that series, but we'll see, man. But yeah, so that's baseball. So it's gonna be a couple of good series, I think. So hopefully the Mets can make it competitive, and then the Guardians as well. But so we'll see. But and then obviously, dude, like the main topic of the night, like, dude, that weekend of football was unbelievable. Like people have been hyping up this weekend since the summer.
Yeah.
Whenever they saw the schedule, and dude, like it 100% lived up to it.
Back-to-back weekends
Yes, dude.
of great games and great results and unreal.
Yeah, like it's just absolutely, like, obviously the only letdown, depending on who you're a fan of, is Texas did what they were supposed to, which is they blew out Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma's in shambles right now, dude.
And we can talk about it again if you want, but man, just the whole getting rid of Dylan Gabriel's crazy.
Well, especially, I mean, because as we go through the games, but him going in and beating Ohio State last night.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. But not just that though. Like just watching, because I had to work this weekend. We got a new office set up, which was awesome. Like they literally turned old patient rooms into our office. So
are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But old patient rooms have TVs, and so whenever I'm sitting there documenting my stuff, man, I got the TV on, so I caught quite a bit of the Alabama and South Carolina game, yeah, and then rolled right into the Texas OU game, and I watched the first part of that Texas OU game, and man, the breaks were going OU's way.
Oh, 100%.
They just couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
they legitimately couldn't do anything offensively. Defensively, they looked pretty solid at the beginning of the game. They held their own. Ewers looked a little rusty, obviously, but they could not move the ball. They were so sold out on the run that and their quarterback could not make a pass.
No,
and even the announcers that they were even on the broadcast, they said there's got to put in Arnold at some point, right? But they stuck with their Hawkins. Is it Hawkins?
Hawkins, yeah.
Yeah, the Hawkins kid. And I mean, you're throwing a true freshman in there against the number 1 team in the nation in a huge rivalry game. What do you expect's going to happen? Especially somebody that's not a true pocket passer, or at least doesn't seem to be.
Well, and that's one of the biggest things, and they've talked about it with Texas for a while now, is that Sarkisian, he built his team to be SEC ready, which means that he has size up front, and then he has a lot of speed on the outside that can track down. So, if you're a quarterback that, you can be mobile, but if you can't throw the ball too, and you're relying on your legs, dude, you don't have a chance.
Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, exactly. Which, obviously, I'm kind of surprised that Alabama still is the way that they are. Winning, I should say anyway. But I do wonder, if Alabama had the recent success of OU, where they would be ranked right now. You know what I mean? Instead, just because they're still living on the Saban hype, where it's they were so dominant for so long, and they're not the same team that they've been.
They're not. They're definitely not. I mean, obviously they should. I mean, not should have. They probably should have lost this weekend to South Carolina. Like South Carolina should have won that game.
Oh yeah, dude.
But they did beat Georgia. Like, I mean, they beat Georgia for a half, and that turned out to be enough. And that's a big win. So they're probably a little high right now in the rankings. But as we went over last week, the rankings don't matter. Alabama's going to lose a few more games, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and again, like I know we've talked about South Carolina a few times, but like I don't know what kind of team that they are.
Well, offensively, they're not very good. Defensively, they have one of the best defensive lines in the country, in my opinion.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, like because all their games, like they keep it close. Like their defenses keep them in games, but like you said, like offense just can't convert when it needs to. So, but I mean, Alabama, they're going to Tennessee this week, which Tennessee looks like a completely different team than they did in the beginning of the year because now they're playing.
Oh yeah.
Now they're getting into conference.
Yeah.
They have Missouri, then they go to LSU. So that's 3 straight ranked opponents that they're having to face, and 2 of those are on the road.
Yeah.
So so that's going to be tough there, and then they still got to play Oklahoma, and then Auburn. Just being a rivalry game. Like Auburn's another one of those. Like they're not winning games, but they're playing competitive. Like they're keeping themselves in games. So
absolutely.
So yeah, you don't really know what to expect. I mean, like them figuring out a way to win that game against South Carolina. Was kind of a shock. I mean, I know a lot of people were. I think they're really just trying to expose themselves is really what it is. Like,
yeah, it did 27-25, but I mean, Alabama scored how many? Like, they had most of their points in the fourth quarter at the very end of the game.
Yeah.
Which again, they did kind of the same thing against Georgia. Well, they scored a lot early, and then against Georgia, they made the plays down the stretch in the fourth quarter to make it happen. But the way they came out, Alabama, the first drive of the game, I'm like, oh god, this is going to be an absolute blowout because Milroe rushed for 50 yard, or actually he had 2 30-yard passes.
Yeah,
he had 60 yards passing, and then he ran the ball, which that's what he's good at. But I thought it was going to be a blowout, to be honest.
Well, dude, it was 14-0 right off the bat.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a blowout. And
then all of a sudden it's 14-12. Then all of a sudden it's 19-14, and he's like, oh man.
Well, and again, that Milroe kept South Carolina in the game.
For sure.
Making stupid decisions, holding on to the ball too long, getting a safety, making dumb passes, making bad mistakes. And again, you could just tell, he's a great athlete. I just don't know if he's a good quarterback. Actually, I know he's not. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
He's not one that's going to be able to come in and win the big game for you.
No.
For sure. So we'll see.
Against lesser competition, maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, against the South Carolina, against teams like that. I mean, and then we talked about even with Georgia, we talked about what kind of team Georgia is on the road.
Yeah.
And how they struggle. And so, so it's kind of one of those things you look at it from that perspective too. So
speaking of that, Georgia went on the road. Or no, that was at home.
No, it was at home.
That was at home against Mississippi State, 41-31, and Mississippi State held on the whole time. It was a 10-point win, but Mississippi State was kind of in that game. They were kind of just hanging on, keeping it close, and I guess Carson Beck ended up throwing for 455 yards.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
But again, that's at home.
Well, but and what we talked about, I know we talked about in the group chat, is that obviously you never expect Mississippi State to win that game.
No.
But the one thing you can take from that game is that Mississippi State scored 31 points.
Oh yeah.
I think that's the craziest thing. Georgia's supposed to be keying off their defense and then making plays with their offense and giving up 31 points at home to, we've been talking about, arguably the worst team in the SEC.
Yeah.
And winning by 10 points. I mean, it's kind of crazy because I know people will bring up the Texas game, how Texas, Mississippi State was in the game for a lot of that.
I mean, wasn't that a 14-6 game in the third quarter?
Yeah, it was 7-6 at halftime.
Yeah.
Or maybe 14-6, but anyway, but that's what I mean. But then Texas ends up breaking away.
Yes.
But again, Mississippi State only scored 13 points.
Yeah.
So it was just the offense couldn't get going, but you never felt like Mississippi State was in the game.
They were never.
They weren't moving the ball, or they were running the ball. They were burning clock, and they were trying to keep it close. Whereas this one, it turns into a shootout.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's kind of crazy, but yeah,
and
man.
You just don't know what you're going to get next week whenever
Yep.
They have to go to Texas.
Going to Austin, yep.
Yeah, and so what defense is going to show up? Is it going to be the defense that holds Kentucky to 12 points, or is it going to be the team that gives up 28 points in the first quarter?
The difference, though, is that, like with that, is that, yeah, their defense might hold up, but it's also a different offense than Kentucky's.
Yeah.
And then also, like, they only scored 13 points against Kentucky. Like, you're not going to be able to play that kind of offense against Texas and expect to win. Like,
No, not at all. But if the Georgia defense that was against Alabama for 2.5 quarters shows up at Texas, I mean, they looked very good against Bama after that first quarter, because the first quarter was just they absolutely crapped their pants.
Yeah.
They just didn't know what was going on.
They're just playing catch up the rest of the game. Exactly.
And they ended up catching up, which is nuts. But I don't know. Georgia's very confusing.
Yeah, I know we both had them, going deep, and obviously, but it's just, man, like,
I had them making the playoff for sure.
You just never know what to expect from them.
I still think Texas wins the SEC, but just because I think overall they're the most complete team.
Well, and that's what that's kind of the interesting thing is like the assumption is, which I guess you can't even really assume it, but like this game will tell you a lot about like moving forward. Because honestly, like if Texas wins this game, like Georgia's in trouble. Because like LSU is still undefeated in the SEC.
And that me and my boss were going over the undefeated teams in the SEC. Yeah,
there's 3.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so if you go in with 2 losses now in the SEC play, and there's a good chance that Georgia's not even in the SEC championship.
They might even get to play for one.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like they're not even getting an opportunity to be in there, and so then it turns into, well, where are they ranked at to possibly still get that playoff spot or not? So
because if they lose to Texas, man, the way they're playing, I mean, if you go look at their schedule, I think they still have Tennessee for sure. They still have obviously Texas. I think they play No, they don't go to Florida. I think they play that in Jacksonville for the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. But I mean, you never heard of that?
No.
Yeah, Florida, Georgia. They play in like the world's largest outdoor cocktail party or something. I think that's what it's called.
That's wild, man.
And they played in Jacksonville, I believe.
Yeah.
But I mean, you saw what Florida did to Tennessee this weekend.
Yeah.
That was in the fourth quarter. That was a field goal game.
Well, dude, like it was.
I think it ended 2 points.
No.
What was the final?
Tennessee scored in overtime to win.
Oh, they pushed it to overtime.
Yeah, it went to overtime. So they won 23-17. I think is what the final was. But but yeah, dude. So
Georgia could have more than 2 losses.
But yeah, because they go to Austin this week. They host Florida. Then they go to Ole Miss.
Oh, Ole Miss was the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. Then they host Tennessee. And dude, like even. Like, depending on how all those games go, like, they played Georgia Tech the last game of the season.
Yeah.
And Georgia Tech's no scrub this year.
No,
like,
they're not.
Georgia Tech's 5-2 right now. So, I mean, like, that could end up being a tough game for them, too. So,
yeah, absolutely. But the one thing I will say about that, though, is Ole Miss, like, after this, we'll touch the LSU Ole Miss game, because I have a lot to say about that. But Ole Miss is literally they have no margin for error, so they're gonna have to play perfect football, and so Georgia's gonna get the best version of Ole Miss whenever they play.
Sure, yeah.
Because pretty much yesterday for LSU Ole Miss, that was a playoff game.
Yeah,
like it wasn't a playoff game, but the loser of that game has to go completely perfect.
I was gonna say, yeah, like
it
puts Ole Miss in like a very difficult position.
Yeah.
So
Georgia's gonna get the best version of Ole Miss that game
for sure. Yeah, because they have to get it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So just recapping just a few of the games. So Texas won. They roll Oklahoma. Kind of going back on that game, like it was 3. Texas was down 3-0. They were one of 3 teams in the nation to not be trailing at any point this season. And so they're down 3-0. Like Ewers looked horrible, like you said. Like he I think he's still nursing that injury a little bit, but
he did make some professional throws. Like they were
later
throws,
on, he did.
As he grew into the game.
Yeah, he made a big play because the first quarter, like he missed 2 easy passes. He threw a bad pick, but the defense held up. So Oklahoma misses a field goal. Then they hold to a punt, and then they finally get on the board, make it 3-0, and then there was like a third down. Like Texas didn't convert a third down until like almost like it was like 3-4 minutes into the second quarter.
Wow.
And like Ewers made like a play on the run. He was like a 26-yard dime on the sideline.
Yep.
And that kind of
That's
like
the one I was talking about,
set it to where he like
Got his confidence.
got him going after that. And so and then from that like he just rolled. But
Yeah.
but I mean, it was one of those games like you never felt like he was in doubt just because
No.
like Oklahoma just got zero going, and like we just talked about a minute ago, like it was just very weird because they were talking about it in the broadcast and they talked about Jackson Arnold, but like even coming out of the half, like they were like, no, we have full confidence in Michael Hawkins and like his abilities and his silent confidence and all this stuff, but it's like what? Like, at what point do you say, okay, like, I get, like, you're confident, but, dude, you ain't doing jack right now.
Yeah, you got to make a change at some point. That's just, again, it's just being negligent. But that seems to be the theme at OU.
Dude, like, the second quarter, he had 6 yards passing.
Yeah.
Like,
But, okay, me and one of my coworkers were talking today about kind of Texas. And, again, I'm very high on Texas for the most part, kind of all around. They're kind of complete team. But if you really go back and look, has Texas really been tested defensively, like against the offense that they faced? Like,
No.
because they played Michigan, who we know cannot throw the ball. Like they're a running offense. That's all they do. Their quarterback averages 50 yards a game passing.
Yeah, it's
like,
something crazy.
So their secondary hasn't been tested against them. Their secondary was not going to be tested against OU,
No.
being down to their 5th and 6th string wide receivers and a quarterback that can't throw the ball down the field. And then they played a bunch of smaller FCS, not FCS, but
yeah, just smaller schools.
Yeah. Group of 5 schools.
Well, and that's why, like, I am curious.
There's still questions.
That's what I mean. I am curious at how next week's going to go because.
But then again, we talked even further, and what team on their schedule are they actually going to get tested with a good offense, like a high-powered offense?
Yeah, I mean,
there's not one on their
really
schedule because I wouldn't say Texas A&M is a high-powered offense.
No, they key off their defense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they looked a little bit better against Mizzou, but that's not going to be the norm, I don't think, in College Station. Georgia, we know how they are with Carson Beck. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. Personally, I don't think their offense is not high flying, in my opinion.
I mean, I think he gets so many opportunities that it allows him to throw for more yards, and make more opportunities.
So I mean, Georgia will probably be the best offense that they'll face this year.
Yeah, and is at home, so
yeah, or Vandy.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly,
yeah, that's not a joke.
Like Vanderbilt,
crazy.
Yeah, Vanderbilt is honestly like a much improved team this year, dude. Like I don't. Now, and like that is one, I mean, I am curious to see just because like it's coming off, you're coming off back-to-back huge wins or like huge games, like, and then you got to go to Vanderbilt next weekend.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Vanderbilt's kind of on a high right now, dude. Like,
beat Kentucky.
Yeah. So, I mean, you beat Alabama, you beat Kentucky. I think they're off this week, and then you host Texas. Like,
yeah.
So it kind of. I mean, it could definitely be one of those where there's just that fall off where it's almost just like a letdown game setup almost.
Yeah.
And especially going on the road. And now, like, Vanderbilt has that confidence to say, like, hey, look, we've beat a top team already. We can do it again.
I mean, they already beat one number 1, technically.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to play 2 number 1 teams in the same year. In like a span of a month.
Yeah.
But I mean, that offense is quirky.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got a game plan for that, and just hope you come out of the Georgia game with a win and not too banged up either.
No, for sure. So, yeah, I'm just looking at the rest of the schedule. Like, they got Georgia, they go to Vanderbilt, got Florida, Arkansas. They go to Arkansas, which Arkansas is another one, dude. Like, that's a Southwest conference.
Conference, yeah.
That's an old school rivalry right there. And then
in Arkansas with Sam Pittman, I've talked about it on here before. Like, as an underdog, man, he keeps it close every single time, especially at home. I'm a little concerned. LSU goes there next weekend.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about that, especially coming down from this game against Ole Miss. I mean, I'm pretty sure their starting quarterbacks already been ruled out for the game against LSU, but
Oh, dang.
which helps LSU. But
Oh, for sure.
But I mean, defensively and Sam Pittman, they're going to get up for the game. Like, there's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah, they're going to be ready to roll for sure.
Yeah.
Especially now that LSU's in the top 10, sitting at
Yeah.
number 8. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a big opportunity for them. So,
Absolutely.
oh, yeah, it's going to be a good game. But, I mean, Clemson, they roll Wake Forest.
Yep.
Dude, that Penn State USC game, I don't know if you saw that one, dude. Like,
I didn't.
So, USC.
I saw what happened, but
like
I didn't
USC
watch
was
it.
up 2 touchdowns with, I think it was like 6 minutes left or
Yeah.
something. And Penn State ends up coming back, tying the game late. Goes into overtime. USC misses a field goal, and then Penn State makes theirs, end up winning that game. So that was a big win on the road. I mean, I know USC is like another one of those. They've just been so inconsistent, but I mean, still, like, you still got to go to the Coliseum. Like, that's a tough place to play, I think. So,
Yeah.
and then obviously just traveling all the way across the country. I think
That's the big part.
because I was listening to because we were at Lavaca Street at the end of the game, and they were interviewing I think it was Aller after the game, and he was actually talking about how many Penn State fans were at the game. Like,
Yeah.
he said there was quite a bit of white that was there watching. So
And that's like I feel like a lot of times whenever it's like especially now that all of the conferences are realigned, like a lot of the fan bases have like destination away games. Like where
yeah.
they like get a big group of alumni and they all travel to a big game, and obviously LA is a big destination.
Oh, for sure.
That's like UT. Like, I guarantee that, and Vanderbilt doesn't have a lot of fans, period, typically at their games, but Nashville's a big, like, touristy town. I'm sure there's going to be way more Texas fans in the stands against Vandy than they're going to be
yeah.
Vandy fans, just because it's Nashville. And
Just be a really cool place to go
yeah,
see.
absolutely. Just spend the weekend, go watch your team play. And so I think that's probably what happened with the USC game too, is a bunch of Penn State alumni got together and flew over to LA to have a weekend of it.
Oh, yeah, which is cool. I mean,
Oh yeah.
who would ever thought, like, a Big Ten game, you're flying coast to coast?
Yeah. So crazy.
Pennsylvania to LA, so it's kind of wild, man. But speaking of going across the country, dude, that Ohio State-Oregon game was absolutely nuts. Like, I didn't get to see the game because obviously, we were traveling and we were at the game and everything. But
I
dude,
also didn't watch a second of it.
the end of that game was wild. Like, Dylan Gabriel, he made 2 huge touchdown passes. He had a huge rushing touchdown close to the end of the game. And then did you see how it ended?
Yeah, I saw how it ended.
Yeah,
With the
like
slide.
Will Howard tried to like hurry and slide and call timeout and ran out of time. So it's just kind of wild. Like,
It sucks because they were in field goal range.
yeah, they're in field goal range and they got a huge. I guess it was a holding call. Like, it was something. Like, it was a 15. I think it was actually like a 15-yard penalty. So I don't know what happened. But yeah, so that put him back on the 43. So I was like, surely they're not going to try a 60-yard field goal to win the game. And I guess they had a quick play set up, and Oregon covered it. So he tried to hurry and slide. Ended up time running out. They didn't even get the chance to run the play. So
And they had a timeout left.
yeah, like he tried to like he
Sucks.
like slid like as it went to 0.
Yeah.
Like, it was like that quick,
That
dude.
sucks.
Like, so missing out on that. But dude, like, just like another just like instant classic. Like, just a crazy game. And so Oregon,
Man, and with Oregon, I mean, I know was Lanning,
yeah,
Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning.
Like, they won by a point, right?
Yeah.
It's because they go for 2 all the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe in kicking extra points, I don't think, because that's what
Actually-
happened early. That's what, they went for 2 early on in the game,
Well,
and I think missed it or something, and then they went
well,
back.
no, so they what happened was they went to kick the extra point and they botched the snap.
Oh,
And so so they didn't get that one. And then the next one they went for 2 to try to get the point back, didn't get it. And then they ended up kicking a field goal. So that's how they went up 15-14.
see, but he has done that before. Like, especially at Oregon, I feel like Oregon offenses, like, they go for 2 a lot.
Yeah. I don't think he did last night. I think
didn't?
I
Okay.
don't think he did. I think he just did the one just because he felt he had to. But,
Again, I was locked into.
But
the
I do
LSU
know
game.
like he is a very aggressive type of coach.
like
so.
Lane Kiffin, like a Lane Kiffin type.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just-
But I think I was kind of surprised. Like, I know I had a buddy that he was texting me, and he was like, dude, you picked Oregon for the pick'em. He was like, Ohio State's absolutely gonna roll them. I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, well, one, I picked Oregon to win the Big Ten, and then two, I was like, dude, you gotta go. I was like, you gotta make that huge trip. I was like, it's a big time
Yeah.
matchup. College game days there. Like, Oregon's gonna be up for that game, like, regardless. And obviously, they're number 3 for a reason. I mean, they have the talent on that roster to be good.
Yeah.
So, and I know we've kind of talked about it. Depending on where you live in the country, depends on like who you think the better conference is, like
sure.
the SEC or the Big Ten. But I mean, I think they both got absolute powerhouses in there. So now, whether Oregon would be able to keep up with like a SEC style, I mean, we won't see that until probably the playoffs. But yeah, man. But that gives them the foot up on the Big Ten. And because I know we had a lot of question marks even then, because they were another one of those teams, them and Ohio State, that we talked about. Neither one of them had really played anybody up until this point,
other than Oregon playing Boise, which kind of could have lost.
Yeah, that is true. But other than that, I mean, like,
Ohio State hadn't played anybody.
Yeah, but Ohio State's played nobody, and so you just didn't really know what to expect from either team. And so, but I mean, Oregon, like, their schedule is not horrible the rest of the way. Like, they go to Purdue this week.
When?
Then they host Illinois. Illinois is like a quiet 5-1. Like, they're a good, like, a hard-nosed team. It's a Brett Bielema team.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a Sam Pittman style. He was at Arkansas before him. And so it's the same kind of style, like just that hard-nosed. Then they go to Michigan, which they'll be fine there. Then they host Maryland, go to Wisconsin, which Wisconsin's actually not bad this year either.
Yeah,
dude.
they rolled Rutgers.
Yeah, they
rolled
did.
my dark
So,
horse.
Yeah, your dark horse is
42
going
nothing,
dark, dude.
It was bad.
Yeah, man. So and then they host Washington, which that's a rivalry game,
Yeah.
but and Washington's kind of one of those, like, they're not a bad team. They're just
It's not the Washington.
they're
last
obviously
year.
not what they were last year. So so they have a really good shot to really run the table. I mean, because they got Illinois at home, which is good, and then
I think they probably play Ohio State again in the championship.
yeah, that's what I was wondering. I know,
Unless it's Penn State.
Well, I know Ohio State's always had the not Ohio State. The Big Ten's always had the split. They've always had their divisions.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're still going to have that or not.
I don't think they do. I think it's just a record thing.
Yeah, well,
it's definitely not. It's definitely not. They definitely don't have it anymore. Because that was why I picked Rutgers to be a dark horse to possibly make it. Because their schedule was so bad. They weren't in that side where they had to play Ohio State, Michigan State, all those teams every year. Penn State. They avoided all of those.
Yeah.
It's for sure. It's just best records. 2 best records with some tiebreaker rules, I'm sure, built in.
So I would say right now, I mean, it's probably looking like it'll be a
rematch.
Well, I was gonna say Penn State, maybe even. I know we talked about them, like their schedule, I think we talked about at the beginning, like this was their year to really run it.
Yeah, shakes out well.
Oh, because they actually host Ohio State.
Yeah,
so that's what's going to determine it right there.
Because
that's the only ranked matchup they have the rest of the season.
Because if Ohio State wins that, then they own the tiebreaker against them.
So that'll put them in there. So because that, like I said, that's the only ranked matchup that Penn State has the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as long as they run the table, I mean, they're in. So then you have Oregon and Penn State both playing undefeated, which at that point they'll both get in the playoff.
Absolutely. And then Ohio State would too with 2 losses, even with 2 losses against those.
Yeah, because you're losing to the number 3 and you're using the number 3 team in the nation twice.
Yeah.
Is essentially what it comes down to.
Because, like we had said at the beginning of the season, I think, the way it's shaken out, ACC probably gets 2. Miami and Clemson probably get in.
Yeah.
Big 12's only getting 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
No, it's going to be 1 because, well, dude, and I was talking to a buddy. I know we've talked about this too. Like, there's a chance that the Big 12 gets the 12 seed.
I don't think anymore. I think Iowa State and BYU are kind of distancing themselves and are starting to move up because Iowa State's I think in the number 8 now or number 7.
Yeah, number 8.
Or no, it's
number
9.
Yeah, number 9. Yeah, number 9. So yeah, but if they lose, if they lose in the Big 12 championship, or if they lose before then, because that's it's going. What we keep talking about is like the Big 12 is such a gauntlet, dude.
But we also don't know how those dudes in the room in Grapevine, Texas, are going to rank it. This is just based off the AP. We're basing this off the AP poll. They could have some random thing. They could be like, "Oh, we're going to put Iowa State at number 5." You know what I mean? They could because they're undefeated and they've beaten these teams. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's what
because they did beat Iowa and Iowa's rolling.
Yeah, that is true.
You know what I mean? And they went to Iowa. That's a big road win and a rivalry game.
And a rivalry, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't know what the playoff committee is going to do. I think the AP poll is just kind of disrespecting what Iowa State's doing, because if I had to pick right now, I mean, just with their wins, I don't know. I was going to say I would think Iowa State's probably better than LSU.
I mean, if you have them undefeated, if they're 6-0, they haven't lost yet, and they've beaten good teams. Like they're not just beating nobody.
They should probably be ahead of LSU.
Because I mean, like in the AP poll, kind of like it surprised me. Like I wish I brought it up last week because the polls were different last week. But I know Miami's like they've had to like sneak by on some wins, but they're still undefeated.
Yeah,
and like Georgia like loses to Alabama, but like Georgia's still ranked above Miami.
Yeah,
like in the rankings. Like,
and again, and that goes to the whole mindset of you put the undefeated teams ahead of the other teams, but if you actually like look at the games and watch how they're played out, right? I think that's kind of how the AP's doing it.
Yeah,
and I like that better. I think eye test should matter a little bit.
But my argument to that would be, okay, well, who's Georgia played this year?
You're not wrong.
Like, and the one top team that they played, they lost to.
They did.
So that's kind of my argument with it is like,
but Miami should have lost to two unranked teams. You know what I mean?
They should have, but they didn't.
No, they didn't.
You know what I mean? Because like Georgia should have lost to Kentucky. Like, you know what I mean?
For
like,
sure.
So it's just the way you look at it. But I know,
and there's definitely SEC bias. I feel like.
Oh, for sure. And there's Georgia and Alabama bias.
That too.
That's the biggest thing. And I know, like I mentioned it before, but I'm interested to see like when they start the CFP playoff poll, like when they bring the first one out, like how are they going to rank that? Like, because I mean, technically, if you're going by the CFP poll, like you should automatically rank in like whoever like the highest ranking conference champion, like the top 5, right?
Yeah.
So like right now it's Boise State would be the 5th one. I think they're like number 15 overall. But so like wouldn't you rank them like number 12? And like or like how do you, like that's like kind of my thing is like how are they going to rank it? And so but I also could see where it's like okay, where if you put them number 12 and then they lose and then Liberty like they keep winning so they jump to and they're like number 25, do you put them number 12 or do you just like I'm kind of interested like how they're going to do the whole ranking system.
Yeah.
Because now it's obviously way different because you have your 5 automatic bids. Top 4 will get the 4 seeds, but then that 5th one's going to get that 12 seed.
Yeah.
So like you might be ranked number 12 in the poll the entire year, but that means like you're the first team out. Because then the next team is going to because then whoever like the next person is like is going to jump you.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you have to be, top 11. Because if you're number 12, you're pretty much saying like I'm not going to make the playoff. So
yeah, it'll be interesting how they do the first one. I think that'll tell us a lot too.
And just throughout the season, like how are they going to shift it? Like if Boise loses, or like, or somebody else has a bigger win. Like I just don't. I don't know how you rank that. Like that's just. It's kind of a weird system, but it's all about that eye test, dude. That's what it comes down to. So
yeah.
But
what other games were there?
I was gonna say like and then obviously nothing else really happened, dude. Like I will say I was on my way to 5-0, and then your little Bayou Bengals had to ruin it for me, dude. So
dude, it was a crazy game, man. The one thing that I was impressed by was LSU's defense. Dude, they're playing a bunch of freshmen, like a bunch of young kids. They grew up. You could just watch them, and even in the game, at the very beginning of the game, the young DBs that were being tested by the Ole Miss receivers and Jackson Dart, like they were in position to make plays. They just didn't make the plays. And as the game grew on, they started adjusting and making those plays. They were in the right positions, wouldn't knock the ball down, right? And that Harris kid would just make a play.
Dude, how many turnovers were there last night?
There were quite a few.
Like I felt like both quarterbacks threw like 2 or 3 picks. Like
Jackson Dart, he threw 1 pick and had a lost fumble.
Okay.
And then LSU had 2 picks. The first pick, Nussmeier, he was getting pressured and he threw it like he was throwing like a stop and it went off of one of the offensive linemen's helmet.
cow.
and bounced up, and then their
Oh, I
DB,
did see
their
that
DB,
one, yeah.
whose name was Chris Paul, had an
Yeah.
assist to one of the big
I
boys.
saw that, dude. I actually watched like the full highlight this
Yeah.
morning. I saw him like bat it to him. I was
Yeah.
like, dang, that was pretty sweet actually. But
And his name was Chris Paul.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then the other one was just a bad decision by Nussmeier. Underthrew his receiver pretty bad
gotcha.
off his back foot, which that was really the first game that Nussmeier's been like pressured like that. And Ole Miss, like they paid $20 million to get their roster to where it is today.
Oh, for
with
sure.
the NIL and everything. Like they hit the portal hard in the offseason.
Yeah, they did.
And so that's the first time he's really been tested like that. He didn't get sacked, but he was just kind of getting happy feet whenever he had pressure in his face. And but I mean, he still threw for 355 yards.
He had a lot of incompletions.
Yeah,
Holy
he
smokes.
he threw for less than 50%.
22 for 51.
But the thing about it is though is whenever you're trying to establish a run game and you can't do anything about it, it's pretty hard to convert on 3rd and 13, 3rd and 10 every single time. And so that's what he was up against the whole time. He was trying to make a play down the field. He was trying to complete passes down the field to get first downs. And it makes it a lot more difficult, obviously, if
Well,
you're not 3rd and 4.
Yeah, I was just impressed because I know, like, we talked about it last week. Like, you were like, whatever the over is going to be, like, I would put all my money on the over. And so the fact that going into it was 23-23 going into overtime, like,
Yeah.
I was shocked because, I mean, I was expecting just, like, absolutely just, like, lightning bolts, just points just being put up all night. And
Well, dude, I knew I was going into the game knowing how LSU has been playing defensively all year. And they showed a lot of grit. And, dude, Tiger Stadium has a big part in that, dude. That place was absolutely rocking.
Oh, I bet.
Like, it was so loud. You could even tell on TV how loud it was. It was crazy. Like, it was very, very loud. And they celebrated the 100th anniversary of Tiger Stadium. And so they were all up for it.
So they were ready.
Oh, dude, there's
yeah,
102,000 in there just loud.
And like you
and
said,
all
too,
the stars were out. Skeens was there. Shaq was there.
Yeah.
Justin and Jordan Jefferson were there.
Wow.
Like, oh god, yeah, it was a crazy night,
that's awesome,
and that helped a ton. And you can tell offensively when things got really loud in there, Ole Miss was struggling to kind of get plays in and false start penalties here, delay games there. And so definitely hats off to the crowd because they played their part for sure.
That's the most beautiful part about college football, dude, is like the crowd just makes such a difference. Like,
and they talk there's a post game show that I listen to after every LSU game, and they made a good point. Like, crowds in college make such a big difference, but crowds in the NFL, they can be as loud as you want, but like, those are professionals. Like, they are that they're all that good that the noise really doesn't make that big of a difference. Like, you don't see as many false starts because of a crowd noise in the NFL.
right.
But when it's 18 to 21-year-olds, 102 people yelling down your throat,
dude.
that's gonna make a difference, and it definitely showed last night, especially in overtime. Because in overtime, Ole Miss had the ball to start, and they had a holding penalty, set them back, and then incomplete, and then they had a false start after a timeout. So they forced them to call a timeout because they couldn't listen, they couldn't hear and get the signals in and get the call right. And so they had to call a timeout, and then they had a false start right after that timeout.
Yeah,
and then the dude nails a 57-yarder.
57-yard.
That was good from 60 easy.
Yeah, dude.
Which after that I was like, oh god, here we go. But I was like, I just wanted them to score a tutty. Just in the game, and then first play of the game. Kyron Lacey, dude. Yeah. But, dude, the thing that I was more impressed about was the better play was with 30 seconds left in the game in regulation. Nussmeier to Aaron Anderson on 4th and 5.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, that was a professional throw.
That was a dime.
He literally, like, the dude is double covered in the middle of the field, and he anticipates the post route, and he throws it like 10 yards ahead of the freaking receiver, and just breaks off his route and is right there for the touchdown.
Yeah, dude.
Like, anticipation for that route is unbelievable. That's a professional throw. That's a NFL throw.
Yeah, like that's just that. Well, that's that trust too, where it's like, hey, like I'm gonna put this ball here. Like, you better be there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can tell like
on 4th down.
Yeah, like 4th and 5, like game. Yeah, like this is the game, and like to throw that, like
And the thing with the game too is LSU didn't lead in the game until the last second or until overtime.
Yeah.
Until they won the game. They didn't have a lead the entire time, and that was a game also of missed opportunities for Ole Miss.
Oh, for sure.
Like at the beginning of the game, that Harris dude dropped probably an 80-yard touchdown pass, like right in his hands, just drops it. He made up for it later, made a crazy catch over our DB in the back of the end zone, but then they missed a field goal. They were like on like the 3-yard line, went for it on 4th down. LSU stuffed them.
Damn.
But sure, they had opportunities, but LSU's defense made that happen. Like LSU's defense kept them in the game. It was like a heavyweight boxing match where one dude's just dominating him, and the other guy's just not going out. He's just getting rocked every single hook, every single jab, just getting rocked but not going down.
It's freaking Rocky too, dude.
Yeah,
Like-
staying in there, and then one punch gets the knockout
That's all
blow.
it
That's
takes,
what it seemed like, and LSU pulled it out. And again, it's the same thing, dude. Like we talked about it, I think last week or the week before. Winning masks deficiencies and losing magnifies it. Like that's proof of this. Like obviously LSU has things to still work on, but I mean I feel so much better after a win.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? You know, I'm not as worried about the things they did bad. But Ole Miss, now you're magnifying like what went wrong. You know what I mean? Because they were in that game, and as I mentioned earlier, that was a de facto playoff game because the loser of that game has a crazy uphill climb.
And I could even argue that Ole Miss had an opportunity to like put that game away early.
Oh, dude!
Like I mean, like opportunities early in the game where like you go up by 2-3 scores in a hurry,
100%,
and it like and then it silences 102,000 people.
100%.
So that was kind of the part. Like I was like, man, that's just crazy. But
and the defense kept him in the game. Like and at Tiger Stadium and at most places, if the defense is like making plays, flying to the football, like that's going to keep a crowd in it, especially when they're playing hard like that. But even later in the game, man, like they had the ball like in LSU territory to go up and put it away, make it a 2-score game, and LSU holds them to a field goal.
yeah, that was huge.
Like, and the field goal makes it a 7-point game. LSU has a chance to go tied, and they do.
Yeah.
Like, I think they had like a 3rd and 8, just couldn't convert it. And LSU stepped up because I think they ran the ball there for like 3 yards. And so it made it 4th and 5, and that's when they kicked the field goal.
Yeah.
If they get 3 more yards, Lane Kiffin probably goes for it.
Probably, yeah.
And they probably get it and end up scoring a touchdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so LSU's defense made the plays when they had to happen, which I was pleasantly surprised. Wes Weeks is a freaking monster. That white linebacker, that dude was all over. He had 18 tackles, like 3 for loss, a strip, a fumble.
Yeah,
like he was all over the place, dude. That dude's a monster.
Yeah, just when you have those kind of guys that just keep you in the game the entire game, like that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had to hold my screams in because I had 2 sleeping kids, but it was great, man. It was a big win. And again, that's one of those ones that you'll remember forever, especially even if obviously LSU's not going to win a national championship this year, I don't think, but it's just one of those games against a really good Ole Miss team, a rival, you know.
Well, it just launches you like into the future, like if nothing else, because like I mean now you're number 8, and then like they got 3 tough games coming up. Like you said, they go to Arkansas,
2 Aggie,
and then they got back-to-back away games.
Yeah,
at Arkansas and at College Station.
That's so difficult.
That's tough. And then they got Alabama at home.
Yeah,
which they do have a bye week after the A&M game, so that's big. And then Florida, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. So they should cruise the last 3 games. So
yeah,
I mean, really, the next 3 games is going to determine where you end up
for sure.
Because I mean,
if they win 2 out of those 3 games, they're a playoff team.
And if you win all 3 of them, like you're in the SEC championship game.
Absolutely. But if you win 2 out of the 3, you're a playoff team.
Yeah, for sure. Because that'll put you to at least probably number 3, number 4, and then like if you win the first 2, that'll probably put you number 4. You lose, that drops you to like maybe number 8, number 9.
Yeah,
depending on like if it's like a competitive game or whatever. So
if they go out there and they beat Arkansas, lose to A&M, beat Alabama, they're in the playoff.
That's crazy though. So let's say Texas wins. So that's Texas is 1 team in. LSU's a team that's in. Georgia. I mean, you think Georgia with 2 losses still gets in?
With 2, yeah.
just because it's against the number one team twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's 3 teams right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I think Ole Miss. I think they
Ole
actually,
Miss is
well, I think they dropped Ole Miss pretty low. Yeah, they dropped them to number
18.
18.
But if Ole Miss goes and beats Georgia,
Yeah, that's true.
and then Georgia has 3 losses, they're not in with 3 losses.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that's going to determine it. So, but I feel like they also dropped Ole Miss to number 18 to kind of knock them out of that playoff picture.
For now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
so obviously they come back and win, but it kind of puts it like okay, because I mean honestly, like you lost in overtime. Like you're number 9 in the nation, you lose by 3 points in overtime in one of the toughest places to play in college football. And you drop 9 spots. Like
Yeah, it's tough.
that's kind of like I have a hard time.
But they're also a 2-loss team now.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I think that's kind of the big part of
Yeah.
it is that that's their second loss. So and yeah, I mean back to back. I think South Carolina is kind of what hurt them more than anything. So or not South Carolina.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Absolutely. The
That,
loss to
that's what hurt
Kentucky.
them more than anything. So,
Absolutely.
But still, I mean, still so much to be played, and like you said, like I mean, like we
But
keep
the-
saying it, but the polls mean nothing right now. Like it's not going to mean anything until later on, anyway. So
But the way it's going right now, like at the beginning of the season or towards the beginning of the season, whenever they were doing like all the playoff projections and stuff, they were projecting 5 SEC schools to get in. Dude, the way it's kind of happening right now with everybody kind of beating each other up, I mean, that's probably not going to happen.
no, for sure. Well, yeah, just because like there's so much. Kind of going back
There's
to that
attrition.
word we like to say is that parity. So,
Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's so much parity that teams are beating each other up that there's going to be multiple teams with 3 losses.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like so right now from the SEC, there's Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and Tennessee. So those are all in the playoff picture right now. And then the Big Ten, you have Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. And then out of the ACC, you have Miami and Clemson.
Yes.
And then Iowa State's
Iowa
number
State.
9, and then you have Notre Dame sitting at 12 right now. So,
See, that's yeah.
which again, and that's why I put Notre Dame in my playoff picture because, like, it's the media hype around them.
Even with the loss to Northern Illinois.
Yeah,
At home.
Yeah, at home, and then barely winning the next week against. I don't remember who they beat the next week, but I remember even that was a close game
Yeah, it's crazy.
against. So they went to Purdue. Oh, then it was Miami, Ohio at
Yeah.
home again. Like that was a competitive game until like the very end.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
But I think that depending on how things shake out, I mean, Georgia's definitely at risk of not making the playoff if they lose to Texas and then lose to Ole Miss.
well, so that's the thing. So like if Georgia loses 2 more, that knocks them out.
Yeah.
If Alabama loses 2 more, that knocks them out.
Which I think they do.
Tennessee, I mean, if they lose 1 or 2 more, that knocks them out.
Do they have a conference loss? Yeah.
Yeah, they
They
lost. They lost to Arkansas last week.
That's right. It was Arkansas.
So I mean, really, their schedule is probably the simplest of all. Well, they have Alabama this week. They got to win that one.
Yeah.
Then they have Georgia later. But other than that, like, I mean, so those are 2 big wins. Like I don't know.
I just
If
can't
they
believe.
lose to Alabama, I think they're done. I don't know. Like,
I mean, with 2 losses though, if they only have 2 losses, I don't think a 3-loss team is getting into the playoff.
no, and it shouldn't.
No.
But even then, like, and again, this kind of comes back to, I know we talked about it, not in the podcast, but outside of it, it's all like the timing of the losses means so much too.
Yeah.
And so, like, say they beat Alabama this week and then they lose to Georgia, like, and depending on where Georgia's at that point.
Yeah.
It's like if Georgia's lost another game and they've dropped to like number 8 or 9 or something, and then they beat Tennessee, who's probably like number 7 or 8 at that point.
Yeah.
Like, do you keep them in the top 12? Like,
That's
it's just like there's just so many question marks. Like, and like you said, like with the SEC, like because we talk about the Big 12 like being like that, everybody beats each other up, but the SEC's the same way.
SEC's doing the exact
Like they're
same
all
thing.
gonna beat each other, and then it's just like it's just a big scramble at the end.
Yeah.
So. But I don't know. I mean, and for sure, like, so Texas wins this week, like they're pretty much a lock in the playoff.
Yeah. They can lose
Oh.
2 games still and be in.
Yeah. I don't know if they could lose 2 just because
Dude,
they couldn't lose 2 because of who they would be losing to.
A&M.
Like, say A&M is 1, like that would be
Vandy?
fine because like that's what I'm saying though. But like
I mean-
Vanderbilt's an unranked team.
Yeah, Alabama lost to Vandy that nobody cares.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
They dropped 6 spots
Yeah.
or something. Like, yeah.
Ole Miss goes. I mean, they do have 2 losses, but Ole Miss goes to LSU. To LSU, loses in overtime, and they drop 9. Like,
Yeah, but like say Texas loses to Vanderbilt, they drop to 5, 6. Then you lose to Aggie, who's probably in the top 10 at that point if they keep winning. Unless they like, I mean, like you assume like they beat LSU and everybody. That puts them in the top 10.
yeah,
I don't know. It'd be close.
yeah,
But again, it's just that timing is like my whole thing. Is like
Yeah.
you're losing these games at the end of the year, whereas like LSU, like they lost the first game of the season, and so it's like you lose, so you get knocked back, and then you chip your way back
Yeah.
in. So it's just that's kind of like the weird. But
and
that's
teams are allowed to get better.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean though. But
You
that's
know?
like. But that's just what I mean, like with the rankings, like that's
Yeah.
why it's like that's where it kind of affects it because of that. So
And that's the same thing. Teams are allowed to get better, and teams are allowed to get worse. Which that was their reasoning leaving Florida State off last year.
yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, you're not going to let a third string Well, I guess it would have been second string quarterback, but still, like, you're not going to throw him in the playoff.
I mean, I think they should have.
Yeah, but that argument's for last year. So,
Yeah,
but
it would have been better than Bama.
yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah, but remember we thought that Alabama was going to blow Michigan out? They like drove down and like, oh my gosh, dude, the Giants. Sorry, we're watching the Giants. They're just a disaster, dude. Like they're just so bad.
I mean,
Oh,
I don't think I don't think you have much. I don't think you really have a leg to stand on.
Well, yeah, we're not gonna talk about the Cowboys, dude. Like, Cowboys ruined my weekend.
Yeah,
Like, we don't have time for all the NFL stuff, but the Cowboys are an absolute disaster, dude. Dak played horrific. I could hear the boos on TV. Like, for all my Cowboys fans out there, we need more boos because Jerry does not like boos.
it's crazy.
We got to do something, dude, because it's horrible.
Yeah,
Like Dak, like is
Bad.
seriously like the throws he makes. Dude, he threw a pick in the back of the end zone today.
I actually saw that while I was sitting
Horrible.
in my room office with the TV up there.
Dude.
I saw the pick.
Yeah,
It was
and
bad.
you were here
bad.
last week that one against the Steelers that he threw.
Bad.
And you're like, what are you doing? Like it just like these are
Like
like
that wasn't even close.
he's a $240 million man that plays by a single read. He's going to so a read for all the casual fans. Like read is like you go down like you have your first read. Like this is the first route I'm gonna throw to. He's not open. I go to my second read, third read, check down, whatever it is. Dak is gonna look at his first guy he's supposed to throw to, and he's gonna stare at that guy. He's gonna stare and he's gonna stare and he's gonna stare. And then the guy never gets open. And so then he panics, and the offensive line is not what it's been in the past, and he's gonna take a sack. And it's just, dude, it's just awful, awful, awful,
Brutal.
brutal football just to watch right now.
Yeah,
But
that's why we got college, baby.
still got another 4 years, so lucky us, dude. So
That's right, dude.
lucky me.
It could be worse.
I don't know if it could be worse, dude. Oh man,
But
we'll
yeah,
see, man.
it was a good weekend. It was a very, very good weekend.
Great weekend for college football.
Yes.
Like Saturday was incredible, dude. Like
Yeah.
between college football,
The game.
the US men's team
Yeah.
playing, like just like all around. Like it was just Texas State, dude.
We didn't even
Like,
talk about
yeah,
that.
like they rolled Arkansas State, which they should have.
Yeah,
But-
it's just so frustrating as a alum watching
Dude.
Arizona State go and beat Utah, and we had them on the ropes.
Yes,
like we
dude.
should have beat them, losing to Sam. We should be like Texas State should be undefeated and in the conversation in the playoff right now. But
Yeah, like I wonder. I don't know if they'd be ranked, but they would at least be getting votes. I think.
I mean, I think with the win against Arizona State, they would be if they were undefeated.
Yeah, but I think if you look at the quality of the rest of their opponents they've played, I think it'd be tough.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
like I think they could. I think they'd be getting votes. I don't know if they would get put in, but I think they'd get votes for
Yeah.
sure.
Is Liberty in there?
No, I don't think Liberty's even ranked.
Yeah, they shouldn't be.
See, like, yeah, dude,
I think Army is this week. Army and Navy are both ranked in the top 25 now.
yeah, Army and Navy are both ranked in the top 25 for the first time since 1960.
Yeah, dude.
Isn't that crazy?
That is very crazy.
Did we talk about this? That like the wild scenario that they talked about with Army and Navy, So I was listening to Pardon My Take, it was like Big Cat from Barstool,
Yeah.
and he was like, Army and Navy have the chance to do the craziest thing ever. They said, because the conference championship game is the week before America's game, like where they play each other. So he was like, imagine that they both go undefeated and they play each other in the conference championship game. He said one team wins
Makes
the
the
conference
playoff.
championship. Then they play next week, and then the other one wins. He goes, "What do you do?"
That's
He said, "Who makes the playoff?"
Yeah.
Which I guess like you have to go by the conference champion.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, dude, imagine like Army beating Navy in the conference champion, then Navy beating Army in the next week.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty pissed if I was Navy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd be more mad at yourself than anything because you allowed them to win the week before.
But say one of those two teams go undefeated the whole season. Does Notre Dame still get in over them?
No, because they're
Notre Dame doesn't have a conference championship.
well. That's where it comes down to. It depends on where they're ranked.
I know, but what I'm saying, would the committee do that?
I mean, the committee can do whatever they want.
They probably would because it's a brand.
But they would be the fifth conference champion.
But is Notre Dame the highest ranked? At least the AP poll, are they the highest ranked non-power four, or is
Yes,
because Boise's 15,
Boise's 15. Yeah, and then Notre Dame's 12.
12. Okay,
Yeah,
Dang.
and then then Army's 23 and Navy's 25. Like, dude, Liberty only got 2 votes to even be ranked.
wow.
So like so that's why like I have a hard time thinking that they would get in.
Well, that's good because they're not very good. They're sneaking by some bad
well,
teams.
and that's what like honestly, dude, like I want Army and Navy, at least one of them to stay undefeated.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, like Liberty the Conference USA does not deserve to have a playoff team.
No.
Like, and I mean, you can make arguments about a lot of those, but I mean, the Sun Belt's at least way more competitive. The American Athletic is more competitive. Like, Conference USA, it's like a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would say Mountain West is probably the best conference right now, which is why Boise State's number 15.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. We'll
Yeah.
see. But yeah, another great weekend. So you ready to roll into our games?
Let's do it. Let's get our picks going.
Hey, we got it, man. For the third week in a row, I think we got some solid games coming up this week. We picked 5 good games that I think are going to be really good. So,
Yeah.
our first one, it's a ranked versus non-ranked, but I think it's going to be a good one. It's Miami at Louisville. So Miami again, number 6. I think it's like a 3.5 point spread.
That's 3.5. Yeah.
But I think it's going on the road at Louisville. They struggled on the road, so kind of what are you thinking?
I'm gonna go Miami. I feel like what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a really controversial PI call at the end. Gonna put Miami on the 1. They're gonna run it in for the win. I got Miami.
That's the way it's been going. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think at a certain point,
Louisville's been on a skid.
well,
too.
was Miami on a bye this week too?
I think so.
Yeah, so I think that's going to help them too. So I mean, I think Miami. I think they'll probably worked out a lot of their kinks that they had over the bye week, and so I think they're going to roll. I think they'll go in. They'll take care of Louisville. So
Yeah, I got him too. Next game, Michigan, a 1-point favorite on the road at Illinois.
man, this is tough actually,
What do you
dude.
got?
Like I just talked about earlier, like Illinois, they're playing pretty well. Like they're like a quiet 6-0 team right now. Like they're playing, or 5-1, I should say. Like they're playing really well. And then dude, Michigan's like got so many just question marks. So I mean, Illinois hung with Penn State for a lot of the game. They beat Nebraska on the road in overtime. I mean, honestly, like I'm gonna take Illinois. I think being at home, I think that's gonna be a big one for them. I think they're gonna end up winning that game.
I'm gonna tail. Yep, I have Illinois as well. It being at home is a big factor, and Michigan being so one-dimensional. I think Illinois' defense is good enough to shut them down, and their offense is good enough to put up some points against Michigan. I'm gonna go Illinois as well.
I think if there's a time to hammer Big Ten under, it would be that game.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be super low scoring. So
I agree.
the next one, dude, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the notes. I don't know what happened. Is yours like that? Yeah, all right, whatever. Anyway, all right. The next one, it's Nebraska is a 6.5 point favorite going to Indiana.
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy line. Indiana's been one of those surprise stories this season. They've really put it on some teams. I'm going to take the home team on this one, and I'm going to go Indiana at home. From what I hear, they're very veteran. They have a really older veteran team who have been in kind of these situations before against these better competition. So I got Indiana at home.
Man, I'll tell you what, like I wish I'd picked them as my Big Ten dark horse.
Yeah.
But man, I've been impressed with Nebraska this year, dude.
Yeah.
Like they've been rolling really well and losing a tough game at home to Illinois in overtime. But man, like Dylan Raiola, like he's playing really well.
Yeah, he is.
Patrick Mahomes incarnate.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing really well, and Nebraska's doing good. Like, I'm a big Matt Rule fan too. Like, I think like the stuff he's done like throughout his career in the college level, anyway,
turning programs
he's done a
around,
great
yeah.
job turning programs around. So I think Nebraska's going to go on the road in that one. I'm going to take Nebraska because I do think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
Be a big one. So we got to split somewhere, you know. So
Yeah, got to do it. Next game, Alabama is going to Neyland Stadium at Tennessee. Alabama open as 2.5 point favorites.
man, this one I'm so torn on this one, dude. Because like I think Alabama's going to win it, honestly. And the only reason I think that is just because like they've at least overcome like some of the battle tests that they've gone through, and they've been able to figure out a way to win. And Tennessee, like they've just struggled big time. Like losing at Arkansas and then sneaking by Florida, like man, like there's just so many question marks. Like even they struggled against Oklahoma, which we saw what kind of team they are. Like I think Alabama's going to end up winning that game.
Yeah, Alabama 2.5. I think I'm going to go with the home team on this one as well. I think Neyland Stadium is one of those stadiums, kind of like Tiger Stadium, where whenever the crowd gets up for a game, they're very loud. So I'm gonna roll with Tennessee. I don't trust Alabama at all.
They're going to throw another goalpost in the river.
Maybe, but Tennessee obviously been struggling recently. The Florida game, every year the Florida Tennessee game is a weird game. It's just a rivalry game where weird things happen.
For sure.
So I kind of throw that one out. Obviously their loss at Arkansas, it's a tough loss. And then obviously OU, they hung in there, but I don't know. I just don't trust Alabama. The way Alabama looked against South Carolina, man. Tennessee's defense is really good too. But I think Tennessee's offense is miles better than South Carolina's.
True.
Which is why South Carolina ended up losing. So
yeah.
I'm gonna roll with Tennessee.
Sounds good, man. And then our big game of the week, they're calling it the biggest weekend in Austin's history this week. They got
Are they really?
Well, the reason they got Eminem's coming to town.
Oh wow.
They got who's the other one? It was another big name.
I mean, ACL just happened.
Yeah, they got Eminem's coming to town. They got someone else coming to town. They got F1 going on this weekend.
This week? Oh
yeah,
God,
dude.
yeah, that's stupid.
And then the game of the week, Georgia coming in for College Game Day at Austin. So Texas opening as a 3.5 point favorite.
I'm gonna roll with Texas. Texas at home. We've talked about it. Beginning of the season, during the season, Georgia's not a good road football team. So I think Texas wins this, and honestly, I think they cover the 3.5.
Yeah, I could see it being like a field goal game. I think the spread might actually drop a little bit. I think it'll end up being like a 2.5.
Yeah.
They'll give you the hook there.
Yeah.
But we'll kind of see. But I think Texas will win that one too. I mean, I think it will be like the first. I think it will test their secondary a little bit more, and I think their front's definitely gonna get tested more than what it's been tested. But so I think it's gonna be kind of a gritty game at first. But I think Texas ultimately is gonna find a way to sneak it out. So I think Texas will win that one. So
yeah,
should be another great weekend of football though for the third straight week. So
this is what we love, man. These big time matchups every week. This is what makes it fun.
For sure, man. This is gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, dude. So that's another week.
Another week down, baby. Let's go.
We appreciate everybody listening. Again, follow us on all our social media at Face Value 2024 is where you can find us everywhere on X, Instagram, TikTok.
Roast us on TikTok.
Yeah, roast us on TikTok, man. People are savages online, dude. We just give our humble opinion on what we feel about things, and that's why we call it at face value. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less. So you're more than welcome to disagree. I'm gonna do better about trying not to read the comments because I just get fired up. But
Yeah, for sure.
But we had a lot of fun though, and just continue to share, continue to like, and just everything. And we really appreciate everything that everybody does for us. Keep sending in your picks. The standings. We'll try to get the standings updated here pretty soon so everybody can see. I know people have been asking kind of where they're at, and I think the last few weeks it's kind of probably been a little bit of a roller coaster because you finally got back on the winning trail this week, I think. So
Good.
needed that LSU win to get you going. So
Right.
But other than that, just keep listening, keep following until next week. We appreciate it.
See ya.